Nick Baldwin for BloodyElbow.com here with a TKO middleweight fighter who is coming off a third-round rear naked choke victory over Joe Valle at TKO Fight Night 1 earlier this month. It is Mariusz Ksiazkiewicz. Mariusz, thanks for doing this. I feel like every time I talk to you, I'm asking, what did it feel like to get back into the cage after such a long layoff? Yet again, about a month or a year and a half off, and up until this last fight just earlier this month. What did it feel like to get back into the cage, any ring rust, and just what was it all like?
You know what? I actually felt a lot better than the last time I had a 2.5-year layoff. I felt like I was completely in the zone and like there was no time off whatsoever. First round always, for me it's a little bit of a feel out, but once I got my rhythm, I started, I'm like a snowball that rolls down a hill. I just build up momentum, and I eventually got the finish in the third round.
And I know this fight was a part of their new TKO Fight Night series, so it wasn't live on Fight Pass, a little more difficult to watch. Can you just sort of walk me through the fight a little bit? From what people there were saying, it sounds like it was a really fun fight, perhaps the evening's fight of the night. Talk me through sort of leading up to the finish and how you actually secured that submission.
So, first round, like I said, was a little bit of a feel out. We were both throwing, single shots. I felt I landed the clear, more harder shots. Definitely did more damage. Hit him in the body with middle kicks. When we clinched up against the fence, I always had cage control. And then, last 2 seconds of the first round, I body slammed him and landed on top. So I felt the first round was super close because we were both landing, but I felt with that takedown at the end that I solidified it. But I wouldn't argue if judges thought, he took it just because he's the hometown guy or whatever. It was a close round. Second round, it was going my way. I was building momentum, landing the harder, the cleaner shots. Again, cage control. Third round, that's when I started, really catching my rhythm. It was actually much, much quicker pace than I've fought before, to be honest. And I just came out aggressive and came out swinging and got him against the fence, landed a couple uppercuts, dropped him, and sunk in the choke.
So were you ultimately satisfied with the win? I mean, again, it was sort of back and forth, a fun fight. Were you happy, though, with it?
Yeah, I was actually very happy. Joe was ranked number 5 in the country. It's the first time I guess fought a guy from TriStar. Like, he's from a really good gym. And, I was very happy with my performance, actually. Of course, it's nice to finish in the first round, but I still got the finish. And to me, it's a little more impressive to finish in the third. Especially, you still have power in the third. You drop the guy, like that's a lot more impressive than a lucky punch in the first, So, very happy with my performance.
Would you consider this the biggest of your career?
The biggest win for sure, yeah. Like before Joe, it was Micah Brakefield. And Micah Brakefield's like a wizard on the ground, but, Joe's solidified himself as a top middleweight in Canada, so.
I want to go back to my first question. How frustrating was it yet again being on the sidelines? You were, of course, expected to fight at Mercenary Combat League last year here in Winnipeg. That fell through. They couldn't find you an opponent. Whatever happened. You were not on the card. How frustrating has this past year and a half or so been for you? Just, again, probably looking for a fight and being unable to find one.
Yeah, super frustrating not being on MCL. 2 weeks before the event, I got a message from the UFC saying that if I won, there was a chance that there'd be an opportunity for me at UFC Winnipeg. So that was a little heartbreaking, but, I signed with TKO in February, hoping to fight in March. I was actually supposed to fight Joe Valle in March, but their camp decided he should fight someone else. And then, so I was, preparing for that, and then I found out I wasn't fighting, and then, they're like, hey, you're fighting in May. If Barrio or Kornberger get injured, you're fighting for the belt. So I'm preparing for that. neither guy got injured, so now I got to slow it down again. And then it was, okay, you're fighting in June, so it was like, and then you're fighting in July. So like when they finally told me, okay, you're officially fighting in August, I almost didn't believe them. I was like, okay, this is going to get pushed back again. But luckily that didn't happen. Yeah, I'm used to that, right? So, but it was great. I felt great, the best I've ever felt in there, most comfortable I've ever felt. It was a very fun fight and a great experience.
Well, I was going to ask you about, fighting in August as opposed to a bit earlier this year, because we spoke right after you got signed way back in March, and you were telling me then anyways, May was going to be your debut. That was targeted, not official, but, it was looking like it was going to be May. So that wasn't on TKO. That was just a matter of the opponents pulling out, getting hurt, and just things happening, things falling in the wrong place.
Things not materializing, right? That's essentially what it was. I was kind of like the backup guy in May. So, like I said, if Barrio or Kornberger got injured, I was supposed to fight one of them. So that's what I was preparing for. But yeah, it was just things not materializing. TKO lost sponsors for one of their shows, so they had to cancel a show, and it was just bad luck. Yeah. That's all it was. So.
Has TKO said that, or tried to tell you anyways, that they're going to keep you active? They're going to do everything in their power to keep you active, keep you in the cage, and have 3 fights a year or however many you want. Has there been any indication you'll be able to be more active than you have been?
Yes. So my contract says 3 fights in 1 year. So I guess that year would be up in May, I believe. So if I'm fighting more than once every year and a half, I'm a lot more active than I've been in the past 6-7 years. But yeah, so I believe they want me to fight again in October. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. So they have said October targeted, or?
That's what I'm saying. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You mentioned that way back in September of last year, when you were supposed to be on the MCL card, UFC called you and said if you get an impressive performance, there's a chance we might have room for you on the middleweight roster for the UFC. Have you heard anything since? I mean, because you've been inactive, it sounds like you're shaking your head. Yeah,
I have not heard anything since. It was just like it was an email from one of the guys who ran like a prospect database, and he just said, hey, keep doing what you're doing, win another fight or two, and we'll have an opportunity for you. But you know what? It was a year since that message, right? So, there's so many guys out there in the same position as I am right now. So many undefeated guys out there. I just have to make some noise, and that's it. I feel like I made some noise beating Valley, but, just keep on winning, and the opportunity will come sooner or later.
Do you think TKO will sort of be that, I suppose, that deciding factor? Like, they will be able to get you into the UFC one day?
Definitely. They're really high-quality show. I don't know if you've ever been to one live, but very high-quality show. Great production, like top-notch. So I definitely think, with all their shows except for this last one being on Fight Pass, I definitely think eyes are watching, and, I've also heard, like, Jesse Arnett and Adam Ditchka and all those guys, they got offers from the UFC already, so the right eyes they're watching, right?
Do you know if your next fight will be on Fight Pass and not part of their Fight Night series?
I'm not 100% sure, actually. I thought this one was going to be on Fight Pass. I think something happened last minute, and that was the reason why it wasn't. But, yeah.
Were you disappointed about that? Just because, you can't watch your fight live, and that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. Well, mostly because I was getting like 100 text messages. I'm telling everyone to get Fight Pass, and then they're like, man, I signed up for this, and, your fight's not on. Like, what's going on? I'm like, ugh. Yeah, just turned off my phone, on fight day, and, went with the flow. But I was a little disappointed, just because, you feel like you're kind of letting your friends and family down by, not fighting live, exactly. But.
So you mentioned that TKO, you think they'll be able to get you into the UFC. I guess in an ideal world, you have a few more fights and then UFC comes calling. You're still young in your career, a lot because you just haven't been as active as you'd like. You haven't had as many fights as ideal world would be. So the plan still is UFC one day, pretty soon?
Yeah. The plan is always going to be UFC. But I mean, there's so many good promotions out there. ACB, in Europe, KSW. There's so many good promotions out there that pay just as much or more, right? So the goal is UFC, but after TKO, just hoping to fight overseas somewhere. That's the goal. I want to fight all over the world, and not just Canada. Somewhere cool. That's the goal. Just travel and have a good time.
You say overseas somewhere. Would that be if you don't get the UFC call? Of course, UFC does shows overseas, but would maybe like one championship or an ACB if they're still around? Would you like to, have a fight there? Or
I'm not limiting my options just to UFC, right? The thing with the UFC is you get in a little too early. Like I said, there's so many guys in my position right now. There's so many guys, so many undefeated guys, so many guys with good records, a lot of prospects out there. You lose your first few fights, you're not getting back in. If you get cut, what are the chances of you getting back in? You don't really see that happen anymore, right? There's so many guys in our position. So, you know what? I'm not going to rush the process, enjoy the journey, and, I fight overseas. If they give me a better offer than UFC or whatever, hell yeah. I'm going to ONE FC or ACB, KSW, it doesn't matter. So just trying to enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. Go from there.
And as far as your immediate future, you said you're looking to fight in October. Do you know if you will be taking on the TKO middleweight champion? If yes, if no, is that what you're going for?
I believe they want me to fight one more fight before I challenge Power Bar for the middleweight championship. So,
are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I got 3 fights, so you know what? I don't really care. As long as you keep me active, I'm happy. That's it. I just want to be active. I want to fight more than once every year and a half.
Do you think winning the TKO championship is key to getting the UFC call?
I think so. Yeah. There's like I said, there's so many eyes watching on Fight Pass. That's definitely a great push. Mariusz, thank you so much for the time, and congratulations once again on the victory. Thank you.